Alright, salve discipuli. Today we are going to go ahead and we are going to review positive, comparative, and superlative degrees. So, here we go. Let's go through this all again. Alright, so just remember that adjectives must agree in case, number, and gender with the noun that it modifies. So make sure that you're making everything agree and you'll all be fine. So first and second declension adjective endings are as follows on the left, and then third declension adjective endings are on the right. You've seen all these before, you know these, and if you're not remembering and everything, please make sure you go back and review, because not having the right ending does make your entire adjective wrong. So let's go ahead and continue past this. So we talked basically about the difference between positive, comparative, and superlative already. So this idea here is that positive is your normal adjectives that we've had the whole time. Comparative, you're comparing two things to each other. So this is Marcella being compared to Gaius, and we're saying that Marcella is the happier of the two. And then your superlative, this is comparing one thing to a ton of other things, or to just more than one other thing, basically. So Titus is the happiest of all, so we're comparing Titus to a whole group of everybody. And like we've said before, this is where that partitive genitive is going to come in a lot, that omnium. But we'll talk more about that with the whole making comparisons review. So if you realize that you have questions about the differences between a positive, comparative, and superlative, please come talk to me. Alright, so moving on. To actually form these, you know how to do the positives. It's just usa, or the is a, and you're putting the endings on it. So our examples that we're going to use throughout this whole thing are Claris and Brewis. Claris being first and second, Brewis being third. Alright, comparative. For the comparatives, you have basically an attachment that tells you that it's comparative. This IOR and IUS if you're dealing with the neuter. And this will maybe make a little more sense when you see one fully declined out, and we'll go ahead and we'll show you that in a minute. So, for example here, Clarus then becomes clarior and clarius. Brewis becomes brewi or brewius. And eventually we're going to attach to the end of that R your other adjective ending that you'll need, but we'll go through that in a minute. Superlative, these are your issimos, issima, issimums, so like clarissimos, clarissima, clarissimum, brevissimos, brevissima, brevissimum, and as you already know, there's also the ending remus and limus, and we're going to cover that here in the next slide. If you're feeling lost at any point with this so far, come talk to me. So, ER adjectives, you've seen them in the positive. It's still usa, and isis a, but these are words like your miser, misera, miserum, calere, caleris, calere. Remember to watch for the dropping of the E. Both of these keep the E just for simplicity on this PowerPoint. So, comparative, you're still adding IOR, IUS, except now you're attaching them to basically where the R is. So, miserior, miserius, calerior, calerius. So, nothing too awful. And then superlative, since these are ER adjectives, this is why you're adding remus, rima, remum. So the whole idea here, on your previous on your previous superlative, you had a double S happening. Now you're going to have a double R happening instead. So that double consonant is really what shows you that you're going into the superlative. Make sure that you don't drop the original R off. You're not dropping anything off of the original form when you're dealing with an ER. Okay, this will also always keep the E regardless of whether it loses it normally. So then you have regular lisses. So this is fidelis, fidelis, fidele, and then it becomes fidelior, fidelius, and superlative. Since this is regular, it still uses the issimos, so it's fidelissimus, fidelissima, fidelissimum. So nothing too crazy. Oops, sorry, there's a typo there. There should not be a double L on this form. It should just be one L. Sorry about that typo. So just one L. Alright? So, then you have 6 irregulars. These are the ones that are going to have the double L on the superlative. So this is your faculus, difficulus, similis, dissimilis, graculus, and humilis. Notice they're all third declension. it's important that you memorize these 6 because these are the 6 that do the irregular in the superlative. Positive, it's still the same. It's just third declension adjective. You're not treating it any differently. Comparative, just adding the IOR, IUS, nothing different. But the superlative, this is where you get the limos, lima, limum. So facilimos, facilima, facilimum. So just these 6 do the double L. If it's not one of these 6, don't do a double L. All right, if you have any questions about that portion, please come and talk to me. All right, so the next step is then case. So positives are going to use first and second declension if they're a first and second declension adjective. Third declension uses third declension adjective endings. So that's nothing new. That's nothing crazy. So nothing bad. Now, comparatives will always use third declension noun endings. The key is that you're using the third declension noun endings, and the big difference there is that ablative singular is going to be an E instead of an I. The other piece to kind of worry about is in your neuter, it's not going to be an IA, it's just going to be an A because you're dealing with, again, noun endings, not adjective endings. And you'll be using those endings regardless of the declension of the adjective. Superlatives. Superlatives will always use first and second declension adjective endings. And that's, again, regardless of what declension the adjective belongs to. Because basically that attachment of IOR, IUS in the comparative, and issimos, remus, or limus in the superlative, those the comparative IOR is naturally third, and then the superlative is naturally first and second. So let's look at one of them. So in the comparative, clarus. Clarus, notice that we go clarior. In masculine and feminine nominative singular, it's clarior because if you were looking at your third declension noun chart, you would notice that there are blanks in this spot, so that's why it's just the IOR. And then you have that IUS ending that was thrown in there too. So that's right there. And then notice though when we get down to the genitive, then you're taking the clarior, keeping that IOR on there, and then you add the is, which is your third declension noun ending. Then you have I's in the dative. Then you have M and M for masculine and feminine accusative. Notice the IUS comes back in the accusative for neuter. Then we have the E's all the way across for ablative, and then vocative just mirrors the nominative. Then when you get down to the plural, you have as, aurum, ebus, as, and then in place of the as for neuter, you have the as. So that's what a comparative should look like. Come talk to me if you have some questions. I'm going to go ahead and show you a couple more though. Well, now we'll show you superlative so you can see it. This is your clarus, clarum. Notice that we're attaching the ism, and then you're just putting on a first and second declension adjective ending. So us, and you know these endings. So there they are. Come talk to me if you have questions. Another comparative, just so that you can see it, with litus. Notice the IOR, and then you're adding the is, e, me, so on and so forth. So even though this is a first and second declension adjective, this is a comparative. So you're using third noun endings. Remember, noun endings, really important for that ablative singular as well as the A. Okay? Another superlative, again, it's just the issimos, and you're just adding first and second declension adjective endings. If the issue that you're having with these is those adjective endings, study your chart. That's all that I can really tell you on that, so you have to know your charts. Okay, so go ahead and take a moment, and I want you to go ahead and try to do these again. I know we've done them before, but give them a go. And then go ahead and pause now and hit play for when you're ready for the answers. All right, answers are as follows. You have dulcioris, you have fidelissimus, you have pulcherrimi, you have dissimilius, you have wetius, you have dulcibus, and you have ingentiores. So again, just so that you can see how this happens, dulcis, dulce, you want to make a comparative, so you're taking dulcis, drop that is, put an IOR on it, and then all you need is that genitive singular feminine ending, which if you're looking at your chart, you would notice is just an is. So no big deal. Then for the superlative of fidelis, fidele, fidelis, this is an lis, yes, but it's not one of those 6 irregulars. So you're going to use isimus, so you're just attaching that to fidel because you drop off the is, and that's your stem. So fidelissim, and then dative plural neuter is an is ending because you're using first and second declension adjective endings. Pulcher, pulchra, pulchrum. This is an ER adjective, so in the superlative you're doing the double R, so pulcherim. Notice since we're superlative, you bring that E back. And then you're looking for nominative plural feminine ending, which is just the AE. Okay? Dissimilis, we're going comparative, but we're looking for the accusative singular neuter. So if you remember, that's one of those weird IUS ones. So it's dissimilius, because we're going accusative singular neuter. So if you were looking at your noun chart, you notice that there are the X's in that spot, which is part of the reason why you go back to the IUS. And then vetus, veteris, comparative. Again, we went nominative singular neuter this time, so now the only difference is nominative. There are X's in that spot, so that's why it's vetus. Positive of dulcis, you've seen this before, this third declension adjective ending, so dulcibus. And then ingens, a comparative, accusative plural masculine, ingentiores. Again, make sure you add the attachment of IOR, and then you're adding the es. Okay, here's some more. Give them a try. And then hit play when you're ready. Alright, so you have levissimo, you have pulchri, you have miserimorum, dulci, humiliores, and dissimilimum. Dissimilis, remember this is one of those irregular LISs, so that's why it's got the double L. Otherwise, pretty much everything's the same reason it was before. Notice that dulcis, dulce is a positive adjective. You're using third declension adjective endings, which is why this one's an I instead of that E. If it was comparative, it would have been an E. All right, that's it. So if you have questions, please come to the back of the room and talk to me, and I'd be more than happy to answer any of your questions. All right, Wale te discipuli.